Hello, I'm Stephanie Garibay with Idaho News 6. While many of us have either already voted or are getting prepared to vote, many people are facing barriers when it comes to receiving voting information in the language they speak. And I spoke with one organization here in Idaho who is working to provide information in Spanish to voters statewide.
How do these numbers break down? Let's pretend the 10 of me represent 100% of the cases in a county. In Twin Falls County, only 20% of those cases are in the Hispanic and Latino community. But in Jerome, Gooding, and Minidoka counties, that number jumps to around 65%. And in Lincoln County, that number is even higher. When the owners of the Burley Theater posted this Facebook post, the community panicked, thinking they were closing down for good. But they want everyone to know the closure is only temporary and will help this theater stay afloat. Kevin Butcher, the owner of Daryl's Dry Cleaning, had not taken a day off in more than 10 years. But when he missed the top step of a ladder while climbing down this roof, things changed. You have probably seen this chart on social media, but some people are questioning the accuracy of it. And one St. Luke's doctor says it's not 100% wrong. It started off as a normal family trip to Twin Falls. Rochelle Ruffing and her family decided to go paddleboarding in the Snake River. That's when they took a selfie and noticed an empty kayak in the background. In the United Kingdom, police are currently investigating a stabbing attack as terrorism related. Authorities say 3 people were killed and 3 were seriously injured in the town of Reading. Armed police were seen entering a block of flats, and counter-terrorism police were reported on scene as well. The attacker was detained at the scene and has been arrested on the suspicion of murder. Good evening, Dawn. Yes, it's honestly been a fairly quiet, fairly peaceful night out here in Twin Falls. Now, we were here just about 3 hours ago and we saw about 5 to 10 people in line, all social distancing, all wearing a mask. We also did speak with the Twin Falls County clerk earlier today. They told us they did check polling centers throughout the county and they saw about the same thing. Everyone wearing a mask, everyone social distancing. Now, as you may have heard, the state did deploy emergency poll workers throughout the state, and the Twin Falls County clerk did confirm that Twin Falls did receive some emergency poll workers, about 15 to 16 poll workers, which they say helped out with sanitizing polling centers and also helping out with curbside voting, which they say was offered at every single polling center throughout Twin Falls. They also said this did help them out a lot because they did expect a shortage of poll workers, and they also had some regular poll workers call in sick this morning. But they said having those extra hands helped them out a lot. Now, obviously, they are still counting ballots, but we spoke with them not too long ago, and they told us as of right now, they have about 16,000 people, more than that actually, who have already casted their vote today alone, which they say was a huge increase compared to the last presidential election 4 years ago. But like I said, a fairly peaceful, fairly quiet election night out here in Twin Falls. The biggest Pride Festival in Idaho is adopting a new theme for 2020. According to a press release, Power in Progress represents the significance of current events, the power to be had in making progress as a community, as well as amplifying voices in BLM, LGBTQ+, and allied communities. The South Central Public Health District released data showing most of the COVID-19 cases in the Magic Valley are among minority communities, specifically the Hispanic and Latino community.
The percentage of Hispanic and Latino people with confirmed cases of COVID-19 have also gone up after we saw an increased amount of testing within food processing plants, because much of the staffing within those food processing plants are Hispanic or Latino.
So how do these numbers break down? Let's pretend the 10 of me represent 100% of the cases in a county. In Twin Falls County, only 20% of those cases are in the Hispanic and Latino community. But in Jerome, Gooding, and Minidoka counties, that number jumps to around 65%. And in Lincoln County, that number is even higher. And we spoke with some community members that tell us they think this increase is due to a lack of support for the Latino community.
Que algunas de las empresas, y no voy a generalizar, pero esta en particular, les dice a sus empleados, si estás enfermo, si te sientes mal, no hay problema, puedes irte a tu casa, pero yo no te garantizo que vas a tener un trabajo de regreso. Entonces, ¿qué están haciendo con la gente? Nos están asustando.
One source who wishes to remain anonymous for fear of losing her job tells Idaho News 6 she has seen many of her coworkers get fired for having to take time off.
If you feel sick, you have the chance to go get tested. But if you test positive, then you have to do the 14 days or the whole quarantine. But then you're not sure to come back to work. So then what do? We just go to work. Regardless if we're sick or not, we have to go to work. We can't just stop.
And Janice says the Hispanic and Latino community need to stay informed, but the language barrier makes it difficult.
Desafortunadamente, no todos entienden el idioma. Entonces, ese es un plus, o como dicen los güeros, ¿verdad? La cherry on top. No prendemos la tele. Y si la prendemos, what? No entendemos. Entonces, necesitamos recibir el mensaje.
The health district says it will not inquire about immigration status while looking into confirmed or probable cases of COVID-19. In the Magic Valley, I'm Stephanie Garibay, Idaho News 6. For many undocumented people in the U.S., filling out the U.S. Census is something they may have never even heard of. That was the case for one DACA student, Monica Carrillo.
And I had no idea what it was or what it had even included. So I did the census for my family, and I realized it was just, the names, where we lived, ages, and that was literally it. It took about 2 minutes.
Monica learned about the census through the Crisis Hotline Idaho, an organization she has worked with for the past year, who are currently doing community outreach work to make sure Hispanic and Latino families are accounted for. That's when she realized how important the census really is.
Oh my God, I think it's kind of amazing. I've always wanted to vote and I can't, so it's really disappointing. But having the census, being able to do something like that, it definitely, it's kind of a step forward to everything that's happening right now.
The Crisis Hotline Idaho has helped over 400 families since April, not only with the census, but with other support like family care packages as well.
Because of all of this, it's been really nice to see our Hispanic and Latin community reach out to us because they trust us.
Most of the families the hotline has served have expressed concern over their legal status, which is one reason why some undocumented families don't consider filling out the census.
I feel like we never reach out into our community. I feel like we're always nervous. We don't know where to reach out maybe. And so definitely exercise this as a political right. This is something that you can do. Even if you can't vote, this is something that you can do.
Monica says she is grateful to be able to help undocumented families throughout this process. In Twin Falls, I'm Stephanie Garibay, Idaho News 6.